So Molly, who's one of the organizers of this event, we started talking, and she said to me, "Do you think AI characters can be represented by Hollywood agencies and essentially have show business careers, like real talent, living talent?" And I thought about it, and I said, well, I remember in the 80s we represented the horse Secretariat. If you remember that horse, it was a racehorse that won the Triple Crown. And, there was a little urban agency legend around that because, marquee value was always in movies, and television was the poor stepchild at the time. And the joke was that a call came in for Secretariat to do the Bob Hope show, and the agent said, "Secretariat does not do television." And, I thought, well, yeah, if we could represent a horse, there's a good possibility we could represent artificial intelligence talent, and I was thinking about like Max Headroom in the 80s, which was an AI character supposedly, and then also, animated stars like Roger Rabbit or Shrek, all of whom, have big licensing deals and have careers and sequels and, very valuable assets. So, I have become familiar with a lot of what's going on in AI as it relates to, entertainment and, the possibilities. Our company works with Mattel, and, everybody is looking into AI and what it can represent for a more customized experience, for children. And one of the things that I came across in my travels was Baby X, which I understand Steve Dyer brought up earlier in the day. But he said he wasn't going to actually show any footage so you guys could see Baby X. And seeing is what's really mind-blowing. So I thought I'd show a little snippet about Baby X first, just to show what is possible. So I have this crackerjack production team behind me that is going to let it roll. There you go.
Face. It's our primary means of communication. Yeah. But it's been untapped in terms of a human-computer interface.
How can I help you?
If a computer can express itself to you in a human-like way, which is emotional, it's cognitive,
No.
that's when you start getting to this sort of interesting place.
Going to see an AI baby on a sunny afternoon.
The fellow you meet next is a madman in the best possible way.
You're going to pull the muscles which basically lower the brow.
It's Mark Sager, a computer scientist at the University of Auckland.
So nose wrinkle would be, let's see, nose wrinkle. Punch his nose up.
Mark became famous for building super detailed simulations of the human body and ended up winning a couple of Oscars for his work on films like Avatar and King Kong.
So let's go here and
These days, Mark is, how to put this, trying to reverse engineer the human brain. He's built a series of simulations around how the human face moves, how we express emotion, and how our neurons fire.
we're trying to build a computer which has experiences, can imagine, and basically it has its own sort of existence in a way. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to run Baby X. What we're building here is a computer that can learn. So this is Baby. She's sort of looking at us and hearing us. So if I make a loud noise, it makes you get a fright. This is what she can see. So you can see my face here. Hey, see that? So she's not copying my smile, she's responding to me. And now this is her little baby's first word book. So you can pick a page and show her something, but she has to be looking at it. So get her attention. Hi baby, hi, hi, hi.
What do you see? What's this?
Puppy.
Puppy. Very good.
What's that, baby?
This is because we're in New Zealand, you've got to show her sheep. You've got to give her the word, yeah?
Hi, baby. Hi. What do you see, baby? Sheep. Very good, baby.
So that's Baby X, and pretty incredible because it's like just the beginning. And I understand that the Baby X folks are watching in Australia, so big shout out. We've seen some examples of computer creations of actors. I mean, recently in Star Wars, Grand Moff Tarkin, which is played by Peter Cushing, who died in 1994, appeared in the movie. A young Princess Leia. The Fast and the Furious movie, when Paul Walker died, was completed with a computer-generated Paul Walker. My former client, Brandon Lee, who died during the shooting of The Crow, that movie was also completed by a computer-generated image. But, you get to the next stage, which is, we can create great likenesses, but can they act? And, I would argue that they can. I would argue that they're going to learn from the best, from the Sir Laurence Oliviers of the world, from the Robert De Niros, from the Meryl Streeps, and they'll know Lee Strasberg's method acting and a lot more than that. I haven't seen an example of it yet. I don't think we're there yet, but I came across a really interesting scenario where a script was written by an AI computer program called Benjamin, and then it was shot, and it became a sci-fi film called Sunscreen, and starring Thomas Middleditch, who's the star of Silicon Valley. And, it's 9 minutes long, but I thought I'd just show a couple of minutes, qualitatively, whether it's good or not, that's a personal decision, but a lot of people have reacted positively to it. So we're going to show just like a couple of minutes so you can get a sense of it.
In a future with mass unemployment, young people are forced to sell blood. That's something I can do.
You should see the boy and shut up. I was the one who was going to be 100 years old.
I saw him again. The way you were sent to me, that was a big, honest idea. I am not a private light.
Well, I have to go to the skull. I know.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know anything about any of this.
Don't.
There's no answer.
We're going to see the money.
All right, you can't tell me that.
Yeah, I was coming to that thing, because you're so pretty.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's right.
So, what are you doing?
I don't want to be honest with you.
You don't have to be a doctor.
I'm not sure. I don't know what you're talking about.
I want to see you too.
What do you mean?
I'm sure you wouldn't even touch me.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Principle is completely constructive at the same time.
It's all about you and me.
So that gives you a bit of an idea, of what an AI script looks like. And, it's interesting because, at Virtuosity, we're involved with a project where we are building virtual worlds with an artificial intelligence component. And, it's interesting to see what comes up, in that kind of scenario, because it's kind of let loose to run wild, and that's actually going to be the exciting part. It's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a comedy, and basically what the program did was it studied, ingested, hundreds of science fiction scripts, and you can look at the whole thing online, but whether that was intentional or not, I'm not sure.
Nobody said anything. I felt like the Emperor's New Clothes.
That was brilliant, no? Anyway, I got like just 5 minutes left, so I got to wrap it up a little bit or show you what else I was going to show you, which is a minute of AI-created music through a musical program called Flow Machine. And it is meant to be in the style of the Beatles, and it does a pretty good job. So here we go. I see some toe tapping going on. People are getting into this. Okay, so that you get the idea. That actually was released by Sony Music. So obviously there's a career there. And so, when in answer to the question that Molly originally posed to me about whether or not, AI characters can be represented and have careers, I would say undoubtedly yes. And I think, once you start getting into EDM, for example, has anybody here seen an EDM concert? Like I saw Zed at Coachella, right? It's all about what's on this big screen. Everything's pre-programmed, and he's just jumping up and down, basically. And, if you have an EDM character who creates music, they can actually be in the screen, which I think would actually be more compelling. But it was funny because I have a 17-year-old son who said, but Dad, like my generation, like we like to know about how these musicians live, what they do. In his case, it's rap. Like, did they go to jail or not? When are they getting out? And I said to him, but that's you. Think about the kids who are just growing up now. They're going to be used to virtual reality, and there's going to be blurry lines between, so these characters can have lifestyles. I had to tell a 17-year-old he was old school. So anyway, so it's an interesting world, that's developing, and I can actually see, a future in big licensing deals for these characters, live performances, film, television, and of course once you're talking about AR, VR, and mixed reality environments, this sky's the limit. So it's going to be an interesting world out there. And I guess it is time for me to wrap up. I've actually gone over, so I hope you learned a thing or two.
I think we have time for a couple questions. I'll lead off real quick. So actually, that was Mark's lab for Anime Technologies. I've been there. I'm an advisor to the commercial spin-off company called Soul Machines. Not much on the website, but they did announce their funding in December. Their funding was from Horizon Ventures. And those folks have funded people like Siri and DeepMind and Sentient AI. Okay, next question.
Was that a question?
It was an announcement, but go ahead. Let's do one more question, and because we're going to a break. One more question. Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
I'll speak loud. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
The work of Joseph Beard, who was a law professor, he wrote many, many papers on the rights of virtual actors, Hollywood, and the cemetery, beyond the cemetery. So he passed away a few years ago, but he was the most prolific law professor in the world that covered the technology of virtual actors coming in the future and their representation and their rights and the like. So his information is still around. Beard, B-E-A-R-D, if anyone's interested.
Another question. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, we're on break. Thank you. Thank you, David.